One day, a farmer was looking for a water source for his farm, when he bought a well from his neighbor. The neighbor, however, was cunning. The next day, as the farmer came to draw water from his well, the neighbor refused to let him take any water. When the farmer asked why, the neighbor replied, "I sold you the well, not the water," and walked away. Distraught, the farmer went to the emperor to ask for justice. He explained what had happened. The emperor called on Birbal, one of his 9 and wisest courtiers. Birbal proceeded to question the neighbor. "Why don't you let the farmer take water from the well? You did sell the well to the farmer?" The neighbor replied, "Birbal, I did sell the well to the farmer but not the water within it. He has no right to draw water from the well." Birbal said, "Look, since you sold the well, you have no right to keep the water in the farmer's well. Either you pay rent to the farmer, or take it out immediately." Realizing that his scheme had failed, the neighbor apologized and went home.
There is a peace at sunrise that surpasses all understanding. It's a renewal. A feeling that anything is possible. I'd like to say I drag myself from the comfort of my bed every day to enjoy sunrise's splendor, but you wouldn't believe me, and I would be lying. What is true is I was there that day, and so was she. There is a connection between sunrisers just because they are sunrisers. It's a shared, yet unspoken, appreciation for things quiet and beautiful. That might explain why I was immediately drawn to her, but I know it wasn't just because of the earliness of the morning. Delilah, you see, would have attracted me no matter the time of day. The first time I saw her I was sitting there, at my favorite secret spot, overlooking Lake Quinault. It's a hidden gem in Washington state owned by the Quinault Indian Nation and, before that day, if I had my way, no one would ever sit and admire its beauty other than me. The lake, a destination point for fishermen, swimmers, and sightseers, is nature at its most spectacular. It is located deep in the Olympic National Forest. It isn't easy to find, even if you're looking for it. Once discovered, even the most magnanimous outdoorsmen will keep the secret to themselves. In an era where, too often, free time is wasted in front of a flat-screen TV, Lake Quinault is a reminder of the reasons for taking vacations, and the sunrise over the lake is God's definition of must-see. That particular trip occurred in early summer. I remember it vividly because I had to be in place just after 5 a.m. to catch the sun as it appeared over the mountain. Summer is the best time to watch the sunrise because no one in their right mind would be up early enough, nor would be hardy enough to make the journey to my secret spot. No one except me, and Delilah. Is this seat taken? Not many people can remember the first words spoken by or to the love of their life, but I absolutely can. That morning, as I turned to see from where the unexpected voice was coming, the first light of dawn revealed the most beautiful girl I had ever seen. Not all men might have thought so. Delilah wore no makeup, a pair of ripped jeans, and a faded brown hoodie. Her hair, perfectly auburn, looked as if it hadn't been touched since she rolled out of bed that morning. It was obvious she had made no effort to look beautiful, and yet she had an inner spark that couldn't be hidden. Not by tattered jeans or a faded hoodie. Something changed that first moment I saw her. I changed. I had spent years guarding my secret spot, and now, surprisingly, unexpectedly, delightfully, I wanted nothing more than to share my sunrise with her. I, unfortunately, was not born a poet, and as such the most romantic thing I could think of in response to her inquiry was, "It's a free country." With that, she invaded my secret spot, both next to the lake and in my heart. The silence that followed was both loud and revealing. Delilah wasn't there for small talk, she was there to admire the beauty of sunrise. We sat in silence and watched as the sun peeked over the horizon, covering the two of us in its warming light. She and I carried on a conversation without words. She told me, silently, that she understood the importance of the moment, and I responded in kind that this moment was made all the more special because she was there to share it. Perfection is a goal impossible to realize in this mortal realm, but that morning came as close as is humanly possible. So many thoughts ran through my mind as the sun revealed itself completely. Then just as quickly and quietly as she had come, Delilah rose to her feet, wiped some residual dirt from the seat of her ripped jeans, and headed down the trail and out of my sight. 8 words verbalized, an infinite number of potential events contemplated. 30 minutes had passed, a lifetime had been imagined. I was sure I would never see her again, and the thought made me overwhelmingly sad. The next 5 years came and went, 5 long years since that day at the lake. There were first dates, first kisses, and the words "I love you" exchanged, yet every time fate or intention would reach down and sabotage promise, I became determined to find peace in my solitude. There was always a reason or an excuse for my ending every potential relationship, but at its core was a shared sunrise and a conversation that didn't happen. I went to our spot from time to see the sunrise, not for her. At least, that's what I told myself. I had given up without realizing I was hoping. Hoping to see her again. Hoping to feel what I felt that day. Hoping she would be there. And then it happened. It was once again summer, it was sunrise, but this time she was there. Is this seat taken? It's a free country. The same 8 words. At the time, I didn't know that she, too, had often made the trip back to our secret spot. Seeing her again, I knew I wouldn't let the opportunity slip from my grasp, not a second time. When the sun had completed its part in our play, Delilah rose to her feet and wiped the dirt from her jeans exactly as she had done 5 years earlier. This time, however, I stood up as well. My name is Peter. I don't like coffee, but I'd really like to have a cup with you. My name is Delilah, she responded, matter-of-factly, and I would be glad to share a cup of Joe. She called it Joe? It's funny the things that confirm that a love is real. I couldn't tell her that day, for fear of losing her, but at that moment, I was sure. I had said "I love you" to others before, but it was obvious to me that I had lied. For in that moment, I was finally sure what love felt like. Lifetimes are only lifetimes when viewed in reverse. A cup of coffee became a dinner date. A dinner date became a commitment. A commitment became a proposal, and a proposal became forever. There were kids and dogs and vacations, but more than anything, there were trips to Lake Quinault. Always at sunrise. Always just the two of us. Never any words spoken. You never know the last time is the last time until it's too late. The final trip we took to Lake Quinault was like all the rest. It took a little longer for tired, old bones to make the trek, but we found our spot, sat together, and conversed in silence. The sun, unaffected by time, rose as perfectly as always, but Delilah rose only with my help. Would you like to share a cup of Joe? She knew I did. She knew sitting next to her pretending to like coffee was my greatest pleasure. She also knew she would never come back to see another sunrise even though I was too stubborn to admit it to myself. That day in the cafe, we told stories of family and friends, living and lost, as we sipped on what had eventually become my favorite beverage. We made a mental scorecard of our life and realized we had won. 2 days later I lost her. Just like that first day at the lake, I watched her as she left me alone, this time without even the hope of returning. The sadness I felt from years back flooded over me like a tidal wave. I'll save a seat for you. Those were her last words to me. True to myself, I replied, "It's a free country." Then, she was gone. One day, hopefully soon, I will watch the sunrise with my Delilah again, only from a far better secret place. Until then, I only go to our special spot at night. I'm never alone when I go there. I make my way to our clearing and sit down, just as I did all those years ago. As the moon reflects off the lake, I feel her comforting hand reach down for me, and in the silence only we understand, I hear her very clearly.
I lived in a city, but the city was hot in summer. I wanted to see the country. I wanted to walk in the woods and see green trees. I had a little red car and I had a map, too. I drove all night out into the country. I was happy in my car. We had a very good summer that year. The country was very pretty in the early morning. The sun was hot and the sky was blue. I heard the birds in the trees. And then my car stopped suddenly. What's wrong? I thought. Oh dear, I haven't got any petrol. Now I'll have to walk. I'll have to find a town and buy some petrol. But where am I? I looked at the map. I was near a town. I was lost in the country. And then I saw the girl. She walked down the road with flowers in her hand. She wore a long dress, and her hair was long too. It was long and black, and it shone in the sun. She was very pretty. I wanted to speak to her, so I got out of the car. "Hello," I said. "I'm lost." "Where am I?" I said. She looked afraid, so I spoke quietly. "I haven't got any petrol. Where can I find some?" I said. Her blue eyes looked at me, and she smiled. She's a very pretty girl. I thought. "I do not know," she said. "Come with me to the village. Perhaps we can help you," she said. I went with her happily, and we walked a long way. There isn't a village on the map, I thought. "Perhaps it's a very small village," she said. Chapter 2. There was a village, and it was old and pretty. The houses were black and white and very small. There were a lot of animals. The girl stopped at a house and smiled at me. "Come in, please," she said. I went in. The house was very clean, but it was strange, too. There was a fire and some food above it. I felt hungry then. That's strange, I thought. They cook their food over a wood fire. Perhaps they have no money. I met her father and mother, and I liked them. They were nice people, but their clothes were strange. "Sit down," said the old man. "Are you thirsty after your walk?" He gave me a drink, and I said, "Thank you." But the drink was strange, too. It was dark brown and very strong. I didn't understand. But I was happy there. I asked about petrol, but the old man didn't understand. "Petrol?" he asked. "What is that?" This is strange, I thought. Then I asked, "Do you walk everywhere?" The old man smiled. "Oh, no, we use horses," he said. Horses. I thought. Horses are very slow. Why don't they have cars? But I didn't say that to the old man. I felt happy there. I stayed all day, and I ate dinner with them that evening. Then the girl and I went out into the garden. The girl's name was Mary. "This is nice. We like having visitors. We do not see many people here," she said. We spoke happily. She was very beautiful. But after a time, she began to talk quietly, and her face was sad. "Why are you sad?" I asked her. "I cannot tell you. You are only a visitor here. We have to say goodbye tonight. You have to go now," she said. I didn't understand. I loved her. I knew that. And I wanted to help her. Why did I have to go? But Mary said again in a sad voice, "You have to go. It is dangerous here." So I said, "I'll go to the next town and find some petrol. Then I'll come back." She didn't speak. "I love you, Mary," I said. "And I'll come back to you. You won't stop me." She said goodbye to me at the door. Her face was very sad, and I was sad, too. I didn't want to go. Love Story English Basics. Chapter 3. Strange Secret. It was midnight. The night was very dark, but I walked and walked. I was very tired when I saw the lights of a town. I found some petrol, and then I asked the name of the village. But the man at the garage gave me a strange look. "What village?" he asked. I told him about the village. I told him about the old houses and the people with strange clothes. Again he gave me a strange look. He thought, and then he said, "There was a village there, but it isn't there now. There are stories about it, strange stories." "What do people say about it?" I asked. He didn't want to tell me, but then he said, "There was a big fire in the village. Everybody died. There aren't any people or houses there now." "How did it happen?" I asked. "And why?" "Oliver Cromwell killed them," he said. He was angry with the villagers because they helped the king in the war. I couldn't speak. This isn't right, I thought. That war happened 350 years ago. Then I remembered the strange clothes, the long hair, the food, the fire, and the old houses. And I remembered, too, about the horses. "But I don't understand," I cried. "I saw the people and the village. I spoke to some people there." The man looked quickly at me, and then he spoke. "There's an interesting story about the village. For one day every 10 years, it lives again, but only for one day. Then it goes away again for another 10 years. On that one day, you can find the village. But you have to leave before morning, or you will never leave. Can this be right?" I thought. Perhaps it was. Mary said, "You have to go." She loved me, but she said, "We have to say goodbye." She was afraid for me. Now I understand, I thought. I went back to the village, but it wasn't there. I looked again, but I couldn't find it. I saw only flowers and trees. I heard only the sound of the birds and the wind. I was very sad. I sat down on the ground and cried. I will never forget that day. I remember Mary, and I will always love her. Now, I only have to wait 2 months. The village will connect back again. On the right day, I will go back. I will find her again, my love with the long, black hair. And this time, I will not leave before morning. I will stay with her. The end.